Hello, good evening, and
Hello.
welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. It's the Fan Cast Live. And guys, like we always say on this channel, we are a fan-driven channel. I am obviously a huge Rangers fan. Victoria is a huge Rangers fan, although she's very currently busy with the North American Rangers Supporters Association. Try saying that at the end of a long day. She's across in Toronto, obviously celebrating the NASA convention. But tonight I am joined by, all the way from Scotland, by a Rangers fan himself. It's one thing we want to start on this channel is getting more fans involved. And I'm joined by Jamie. Jamie, how are you and how's your day been, buddy?
Yeah, it's been okay. Thanks for having me on. Uh, uh, I just had a wee busy day today. How's your day been?
Yeah, really busy, mate. Really busy as always. Unfortunately, this is not my full-time job yet, guys. Building up to it one day, hopefully it will be. So still working away. I was going to say hello to Nicholas in the live chat. Nicholas Moore, one of our mods, says evening everyone from
Hello.
South Wales Loyal. And Stuart Keane says evening everyone. Guys, you get your thoughts, comments, questions in the live chat. Be a pleasure to have you on the pod tonight. So, Jamie, you
Yep.
were telling me yesterday, obviously, about being a Rangers fan. So, Jamie, tell me your Rangers story. How long you been a Rangers fan? How often do you get to games? Let's tell me your story.
I'll start off with that I'm a season ticket holder. I go to all the home games. Uh, in I've been a Rangers fan since I was born. But then, yeah, I've just been. And sometimes I've been going to away games. You know, so
Absolutely, yeah, fantastic. You see a season ticket holder. You go to away. Have you been to any European away games yet, or is that on the to-do list?
Yeah, I've been to some away games or some European games. My favourite one's got to be last year when it's Seville, wasn't it?
Just a shame about the ending, wasn't it? It didn't end in quite the
Oh,
right way, and then we.
that was a heartbreak.
I think what we'll do is we'll kind of shut down those last few minutes about Seville, won't we? We'll forget about the penalties and
Yeah.
just concentrate on the rest of it. So, Jamie, obviously, favorite Rangers obviously have had some of the most fantastic players over the decades, and the guys that watch this channel regularly know that Paul Gascoigne is one of my top favorite
Yeah.
players. Brian Laudrup, Richard Goff, Chris Woods, the reason I got into supporting Rangers. Who are your all-time favorite Rangers players that you've seen play?
Oh, I've seen that many to be fair. I think my favourite's got to be the Hammer in it, Alberts, and I loved watching Laudrup and McCoist.
Absolutely, yeah, they're top guys. Ali McCoy. I don't know about you, Jamie, but when Ali was back in the day, when Ali was there and Ali was able to play, I always felt like kind of reassured that everything would be okay because Ali was there and he would score no matter what. He'd always get
Yeah,
that goal when we needed it, wouldn't he?
yeah, definitely. The ball is the ball was always in the net, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Great days, great days. Also joined tonight by George A, who says, "Good evening, troops from Colne in Lancashire."
Good evening, George.
George, as I keep meaning to say this actually on air to you. Do you know, really funny story, George? My dad was actually born in a nursing home in a maternity hospital in Colne long time ago. So there you go, a bit of a link there, George. RFC 56 is all right, Owen Bro. And obviously, George saying there hello to Nicholas. Guys, let me get your thoughts, comments, questions in, and we'll get them up on screen as we always like to do. You are as much part of this channel as we are. So, sort of, thinking back about all the games you've seen over the years, been a season ticket holder. Any games that stand out in particular for you, Jamie? I know for me, one of the ones that stands out is the Aberdeen game when we clinched the championship with the Gaza hat trick and that goal that
Yeah.
Gaza scored, but he ran from over halfway and finished. That's my favourite all-time Rangers goal. Any top memories from your time supporting the club?
My favourite memory was when we won the title at Celtic Park, our neighbours, when Neil McCann scored.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's always good to rub their noses in it, isn't
uh,
it? You were very diplomatic there. Actually, even I have to be so careful on here because of we have to be very professional on here. And I was trying to
yeah,
I always refer to them as that lot from across the city or our neighbours or that local club. there are other names that we use off air, which I'm sure everyone knows. In the live chat, you can use whatever you want. Doesn't mean I'll bring up on screen, but please, obviously, feel free to use whatever you want. Thinking back, just to sort of finish off this introduction, Jamie. Thinking
Yeah,
back to last season, what you know, it was obviously a very disappointing season, wasn't it? What are
yeah,
your
definitely.
what are your reflections on last year, on last season?
Don't know where to begin really. Like, thought like the team went play well. Like we just looked like we didn't bring in the right players. No, like we just didn't like spend the right money on when we sold like Calvin Bassey and Joe Aribo. No, like and yeah, we just looked a total different team. Like from when we went to all the way to the final. But hopefully the next season like Bale like Michael Bale like brings in the right players. No, like because like kind of it, he's got to be judged now if he doesn't bring the right players into.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, personally speaking,
Starting there. At the back, who do who do I trying to trying to hear trying to hear him. I
sorry,
can't.
as it's muted now. Do you know what? Sorry about that, guys. I was just saying, but heat's awful. So I said about Michael Beale that the players that he signed obviously have really hit the ground running, and it shows that he's got an eye for a player, doesn't it? In terms
Yeah,
of Todd Cantwell, Nicholas Raskin have both come and done it really, really well. So, what's your take on Todd Cantwell and Nicholas Raskin, Jamie?
they have been really impressed with him. Like since they came in, like they've had the ground running, didn't they? Like and hopefully next season, like they become even better players for us. But I think like as a good start, like uh, for Bill to bring players like that in. Because like we've all known like Todd Cantwell is a good player when obviously him at Norwich. Uh, but but hopefully next season like he can be in better players for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully, guys, we've got over those technical difficulties now. I don't know what was playing up with my camera. It's been one of those days, my friend. Curry, I've got to bring this comment, even though you got that swear word in. I've got to bring this comment up on screen. Curry
Yeah,
Muncher says, Curry Muncher, obviously, who is part of the Gallant Few, guys. If you don't obviously haven't checked out the Gallant Few, especially when Curry's on, always worth a watch. 5 minutes of you talking shite, Owen, and we never heard one word of it. You're as bad as me. I don't think I'm getting there yet, Curry. I mean, let's face it. When it comes to ranting, Curry, you are the true professional after all, mate. Okay, it's cool, mate. So let's obviously talk, about this new season upcoming. Let's obviously reflect on these new signings that we've made, Jamie. We've obviously
yeah,
brought 4 players in so far, and Michael Beale's, I think, really got a player type he's going for, isn't he? He's going for strong players. He's going for
yeah,
hybrid players who can play a number of different positions. So it's very much a physical approach he must be going for next season. But I mean, let's sort of take those players in turn and we'll reflect on them. Okay, so Jamie, Sam Lammers. What's your take on Sam Lammers, on the Sam Lammers signing?
Yeah. But from what I've watched, I think he's a good player. I don't know if many people in the chat here probably agree or disagree with me, but he sort of kind of reminds me a bit of like Yelovich in a way. But I think he's a good player. But 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 hopefully like he can come in and score the goals for us. And there have
Yeah, I
been
mean,
like.
sorry, Karen, Jamie, Karen.
Because he did look a good player for Atlanta last season, so hopefully he can do the same for us.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's quality. Someone's saying there's no sound. Let me just check, guys. Let me just type in the live chat. Have a look. Let's see if they can hear. Yeah, he is a great player. I think stats only tell part of the story, don't they? That they really do only tell part of the story. Stats. You can
Yeah.
look at a set of stats and they tell one story, but one of the things you've got to think about in terms of Sam Lammers is the fact that he played in two very poor teams in Italy in this last
Yeah.
season. He played for Empoli and Sampdoria. Now, I was listening to Rangers Review the other day. And obviously, we had Derek Clark from Rangers Review on the other day, and we were talking about Sampdoria. Sampdoria actually had more losses than they actually scored goals last season. They lost 25 and only scored 24 in the whole of the Serie A season. So Sam, I think he's a player who needs confidence. He needs to play in a team that's going to give him opportunity to score goals, and that's something he didn't get at all playing for Samp. Jamie, do you think, obviously, been in a Rangers team that dominates possession in the vast majority of games? It's obviously only when we play that lot from across the city that we have a 50-50 kind of split. He's going to get more opportunities, and we'll probably see the best of him.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. That if you can give him the opportunities, that he might do well. He'll do well for us. But
yeah, absolutely. I think we've got to, I think, just give the player an opportunity. I think it's about trusting Beale. I think that's one of the things we've got to do is trust Michael Beale. Now, Callum C in the live chat says, I won't hold my breath on Lammers scoring a lot, but creating, he could be vital if we get a finisher. I think a lot of the talk is about him being more a 10 than a 9, more a creative guy to play off the front striker. Yes, Curry says blind faith in Lammers at the moment. Yeah, I think it has to be kind of blind faith in him at the moment because we don't look, realistically, no one really knows how he's going to be that first ever a Scottish Premiership game, whoever we play. I had a great comment the other day, and I think it might have been Barry Ferguson. It might have been, I can't remember. It was an ex-Rangers player who was saying, I wish I could remember the guy's name, who it was. But he was saying that you can have all the stats in the world, best stats, great stats, or terrible stats across Europe, in England, but nothing prepares you for playing in Scotland. Nothing prepares you for an Old Firm game. Would you say that's fair, Jamie?
that's kind of fair, but I suppose something be kind of 50-50 in it. Honestly, it's kind of fair, yeah.
I mean, if you look, I mean, obviously, I even to Paul McGregor, I watch a lot of, obviously, I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of La Liga. I watch some Bundesliga. I watch obviously English football. I watch Championship, Premiership football, and to me, there's nothing quite like anywhere in Europe. And you can talk about the Classica in Germany, the Dortmund Bayern game. You can talk about El Clasico in Spain, the Barcelona Madrid game. You can talk about the Derby of Italy when Juventus meet Inter, or the Milan Derby. You can talk about the North London Derby, the Manchester Derby, the Merseyside Derby, the Newcastle Sunderland Derby. Nothing compares to the Old Firm in terms of the 1,000,000 miles an hour, the physicality, the sheer raw passion of it. It's quite like anything else on earth. I think the closest I've ever seen to an Old Firm game is Boca Juniors River Plate in Argentina. But Jamie, it is, isn't it? It's just pure passion, 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's nothing else like it, is there?
Oh no, not at all. No, definitely. Nothing will ever beat like an Old Firm game. It's there that you can have great games, that like Manchester Derby, and that, but nothing will ever come close to like an Old Firm.
Absolutely. I mean, the passion, the fight, and I think obviously, Lammers, it will be a new experience for him. Whatever he's done in Italy, whatever he's done. I mean, Michael Beale's right in what he said. He did well in the Eredivisie,
Yep.
6 in 20 for PSV, not starting a whole load of games, 16 in 31 for Herenveen. It was when he went to Italy that he struggled, and I think we've got to have faith, as Curry says, perhaps blind faith.
Yep.
There's a lot of great players have gone out to Italy and really struggled and not coped at all. I mean, the immediate one that springs to mind, I don't know if you remember this player, Jamie, but Ian Rush. Ian Rush used to score goal after goal after goal for Liverpool. Yet he went out to play for Juventus in Italy and really, really struggled for them. So he came back to Liverpool and started scoring again. So the hope has to be, I think, with Lammers that he's a player that struggled in Italy, but when he comes to playing in a style of football that perhaps better suits him, he can get back to scoring.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think hopefully Bale can bring the best of him, he can start scoring goals. Because I know people we've seen players come up here and they've struggled as well, but hopefully he can come to and he hits the ground running just like Cantwell and Raskin has.
Absolutely, and I think that's what we've got to do. Look, people can call me if they want to call me a happy clapper or whatever, but look, for time, we've got to put our faith in Michael Beale and faith in what he's doing, and he's proven that he can spot a player. Raskin, Cantwell, Todd Cantwell. When he was down in England, we had a short spell in the Premier League when he did well and was highly thought of, but then he kind of went missing for Norwich, and Norwich fans were happy to see him go. Now, you find me a single Rangers fan that will be happy to see Cantwell move on. I mean, he's just been absolutely phenomenal for us.
Yeah, definitely. Ever since he came in, he's just been brilliant. Even especially during the split, he was scoring goals for fun during the split. So hopefully next season he can continue that, or hopefully he can be more better.
Absolutely. Now, so obviously, like I said, for Lammers is the most recent of the signings, and we have obviously signed 3 other players other than Sam Lammers. They were signed very much earlier in this before the actual transfer window opened due to their contract status, and obviously been out of contract. So obviously we've got Jack Butler, and we've got Dujon Sterling, and we've got Kieran Dowell. Let's start with Kieran Dowell. So obviously Dowell is a centre midfielder, winger. Play out wide right, can play out wide left. He can play attacking midfield. He's again the archetypal. Curry says, "Bloody hell, whose wing's been murdered?" Sorry, I've got my nieces and my daughters are currently here, and they're outside. There is a swimming pool. This is going to sound really bad. This is now. There's a swimming pool just outside this window and down underneath where I'm recording from. It's not a proper swimming pool. It is one that's been put up. So I'm not that rich, and they're playing in it downstairs. That's the noise you can hear, Curry, of people being murdered. Kieran Dowell obviously can play in a number of different positions. What was your take on the Dowell signing, Jamie?
I did watch him a few times for Norwich, and he does look quite a decent player. No, but it wasn't he's one I was kind of putting question marks on the team, but I suppose if he's coming in, they've got to translate Bale now, and hopefully he hits the ground running the same way as Cantwell has.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Dowell is someone who can play a number of positions. I mean, personally, I don't know whether Dowell will be one of those players that goes straight into the first team and starts. I think obviously there is still a number of days to go in this transfer window. And I know Michael Beale spoke about the fact that obviously he wants to, see obviously players in before the 30th of June when Rangers come back for pre-season. That's obviously the big focus of his. So we may bring in wingers. Obviously, I think the Palmer deal seems to have collapsed now, but there are obviously plenty more irons in the fire. But I honestly think part of it is how we line up next season, Jamie. I think whether we go, I mean, Michael's talked a lot, hasn't he, about 3 at the back, or do we stick to the 4 at the back? I mean, what's your take on that, Jamie? Do you think Michael will try out the 3 at the back, or are we going to stick to the tried and tested 4 at the back?
It would be good. If you would try the 3 at the back, see how it goes. But then there's saying should we just stick to the 4 at the back? Like, because I'm sure
Absolutely.
he's going to go with the same defence as well, isn't he? Like Golson and John Sutter.
Yeah, true. I think a lot depends on obviously who arrives over the next few days, weeks, etc. I mean, some people have talked about three at the back might even be better for Tav in terms of allowing Tav to play a more forward role as a right wing back. Your defensive responsibilities kind of decline a little because the right-sided centre back does a lot of the covering out there. I mean, this is kind of slightly getting off topic of the signings, Jamie, but I know Curry has a different opinion to me. Sorry, Curry, but I love Tav. I think Tav's great. Look, I know he's not the best defender in the world, but in terms of what he contributes, Tav, I love Tav to bits, and I think being a wing back would actually better suit Tav. I mean, what's your take on Tav, Jamie?
Yeah, I like him. Like, I know, like he's not really the greatest defender in the world. He's not really great at running back sometimes, but for a right back, letting for him to score as many goals as he has, it is amazing. But I know, like, there's obviously, like, they can have like bad games and that, and then but he has been a good player for us, like, over all the seasons. But just whether he can even better next season, because I know, like, he's getting older now, isn't he? But,
Yeah, I think he still do a job, but I honestly think the bringing in of players like Sterling, and listening to Adam Devine talk the other day about the fact that Michael Beale's told him to bide his time and he will get his chance. I think we'll perhaps see Tav spelled a little bit more next season, not perhaps playing 40, 50 games, because as you say, he's not getting any younger. I think he's 31 next season. Realistically, you can't be expecting Tav to play, 40, 50 games a season. It just isn't right for him. So that is what I would take on it. So I say hello to Dale Ritchie, who's watching from Los Angeles. So it must be just before midday. Getting towards just before midday, is it, Dale, in LA? I know that you're 8 hours behind us on the west coast of America. I haven't done lots of work on American TV and American channels over in the States. We've also got Navneet in the chat, says hi, Owen. Navneet is my partner. Who's watching from Coventry. So say hi to Navneet. I'll speak to you soon. Love you, babe. Love you, baby. Okay, so family affair here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. So see, Brian Emerson says in the live chat, 3 at the back in the SPL. No chance that should be happening. I think perhaps some people feel it's perhaps a little bit over defensive in the Scottish Premier League, and I know people have said we shouldn't be playing 2 holding midfielders either in the SPL. Okay, so let's move on to the next side. Let's move on to Dujon Sterling. Fantastic name. And guys in the live chat, no more mustard jokes. We've heard them all about Dijon mustard and all that, so no more mustard jokes. Oh, the one question I am going to ask before we move on. Kieran Dowell. Jamie, have you heard the Dowell song?
Not yet, no.
So it's apparently, I'm not going to sing it because I can't sing. But it's apparently to the tune of Down, 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 that one. It's Dowell, 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 Kieran Dowell, 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 Dowell. Do you think that's something that's going to catch on at Ibrox? I think the Union Bears will come up with their own song for him.
You can never tell with the Union Bears, can you? Like, they always end up being a catchy song, don't they?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's have a look at the next time. Dujon Sterling. Like I said, no more mustard jokes at this moment in time. So before we move, I just want to dig. I've actually blocked Alex for his comments. Look, I have an English team. Yes, I do have an English team because I am English. I do. My English team is Sunderland, but Rangers are my first love. They're my team. If Rangers played Sunderland, I would support Rangers. I'd want Rangers to win. I do follow an English team because I'm English, and that's just the way it is. So, I know there's a lot of English fans of Rangers have an English team as well, but I am a Rangers fan through and through. That is my team. Like I said, if Rangers played Sunderland, then obviously I would support Rangers over Sunderland. Okay, so let's move on to Dujon Sterling. Jamie, what's your take on the signing of Dujon Sterling? He looks very flexible to me. He looks like he can fill a number of positions. He certainly looks like a good lad. I mean, what's your take on Dujon?
From what I've seen from him, like when he was at Stowe, like, he looks a good player. And I was impressed with him some games. But I know that. So I only found out that a couple of days ago that he was a right back, and I don't know whether.
There you go. Keep talking. It's okay.
I don't know whether he's if we'll put him in centre back when he comes, but hopefully if he comes in that he's a good player for us. I have been impressed with him in a lot of games when he was at Stoke.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a flexible player. He can play right back, left
Yeah,
back, right side, central defence. He can play in a number of different positions. And I think that's why Michael's brought him in, to
yeah,
play those different positions, to have that flexibility. He wants that hybrid. He wants that hybrid player. He wants the player who can fill a number of different positions. So overall, really impressed with that signing of Dujon Sterling. Now,
yeah,
final, obviously, the four signings was Jack Butland, the goalkeeper.
yeah.
Now, let's before we talk about anyone else in terms of goalkeeping position, Jack Butland. What's your take on Jack, Jamie?
Um, uh, yeah, I really like him. Like he's well thought of, isn't he? I was impressed with him when he was at Crystal Palace. Uh, like it's just a shame that probably that Man United didn't give him much games, but I do really like him, and I think he is a good keeper. But it's just whether he can do the job for us. No, but
Yeah, absolutely. It's 100%. I mean, Butland, he's 6'5". He's a good shot
yeah,
stopper. He comes for crosses. He is a leader. He has captain Stoke in the Premier League. He is someone who does organise his defence and shout at them and get
yeah,
in their ears and tell them what to do. So for me, he's a good signing. I honestly think he will
yeah,
come in and I think he's someone who will only get better. I
yeah,
think a lot about Jack for me has been his lack of confidence. I think he suffered a real
yeah,
drop off in confidence, and I think
yeah,
he hopefully Michael Beale can get his arm around him, get him to get his confidence back, and we can see
yeah,
Jack Butland got into the English national team,
yeah,
as he did. So we've only got to wait and see. We've got to wait and see, haven't we, where it goes
yeah,
with
definitely.
Jack. So one of the things that a lot of Rangers fans have said though, Jamie, is that obviously with the bringing of Jack Butland, a lot of Rangers fans feel a little bit sorry for Robbie McCrory, who did very well at the end of last season,
Yeah,
didn't he? In terms of
yeah,
how he came on, particularly against that lot from across the
yeah.
city.
Yeah.
Do you feel sorry for Robbie, and do you think it should be a straight out competition between Jack and Butland and him, or where do you stand on Robbie McCrory?
Uh, uh, Definitely agree with you on that. I think I think it would be a shame if Jack Butler comes in and he just gets straight number one. I think it should be like Robin McCrory should still be given a chance because like he did do well during the games in the split. And he did do well against our neighbours. So I think it should be given a chance.
100%. Absolutely. So Brian Emerson, the live chat, says, no way you should have three at the back versus anyone in the SPL. Europe is a different story. Champions League only. I mean, that certainly could be a system, given obviously how, what's the word I'm going to choose here? Awfully the Champions League campaign went last year. But
Yeah,
I think for those people obviously who are worried about the Champions League and the future of the Champions League, I don't think that we'll have the same situation, should we qualify for the group stages. Because I just think that Michael Beale is a whole lot more tactically astute.
yeah,
The way he sets his team up, the way he gets his team to play football, I can't see Rangers getting turned over the same way they did last season in the Champions League. I just don't think it could happen at all.
yeah.
I mean, Jamie, would you have more confidence with Michael Beale, in the Champions League?
Uh, well, it depends what teams we get, I suppose. Uh, yeah, I would have more confidence in Bale in the Champions League. Because the players play for him, and the players look like they would have more of a go at the teams who they come up against than they did last season.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that one. Now, obviously, the summer's obviously still got a long way to run in terms of transfer window. I mean, the transfer window
Yep.
doesn't close on the 30th of June. It carries on, obviously, all the way, I think it's till August, I think. So there still could be, obviously, a number of arrivals. And Michael Beale did say in his press conference, I think it was before the final game of the season, or just after, I can't remember when it was now, he did talk about the fact that, yes, his desire is to get in the majority of players ready for pre-season, but we may have to wait on one or two. Now, obviously, strikers are the big topic of conversation, and we've got one in Lammers. He's in. Cholak's future obviously is still very much up in the air. Now, the other players who've been linked with obviously is Cyril Dessers and Josh Madger. Either of those two, players that you'd like to see in the Royal Blue shirt, Jamie?
Yeah, I'd like to see Dessers, because I think he did score a couple of goals for. Was it Italian team he plays for?
Cremonese.
And is it? He scored a couple of goals for them, and he does look like a good player. So I'd like to see him coming in, and I know that was it Madger,
yeah.
Madger, yeah. I know that he did do well for Sunderland, didn't he? And then and he has done not too bad for French team, is it? I've forgotten the
name. Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, yeah, he did do well for Bordeaux, but probably just depends on if you keep Cholak or we sell Cholak, if we still get him in.
Absolutely. Would you like to see Antonio Cholak stay, Jamie, or do you think do you think it's time for him to move on?
I'd like to give him one more chance, because we know that he can be a good player. No, cause he did show that under Van Bronckhorst, didn't he? He was scoring quite a lot in the games he was playing, but ever since Bale's come in, he's just not been the same player. So in going by looks, I don't think Michael Bale seems to like him much. So, but for me, I would give him at least one chance.
Absolutely, I think I'd be interested to see how Cholak will play with, full pre-season under Michael Beale, under him, and also the fact that we are getting better quality players now. And Cholak is not a striker who's going to create anything himself. That's not the type of player he is. He relies on service. And I think, if we've got Lammers playing as a 10, Cantwell creating for him, Raskin creating for him, Tav obviously whips those balls in, Ridvan getting down the left. I think we will see a lot more chances created, and hopefully Cholak, if he stays fit, I think that's a big thing for me. If Tony stays fit, we can get he can get 25 goals, this next season. But I think a lot does depend on how he's used and the service that he gets. So let's have a quick look at the live chat. Warren Smith says, yes, we can be worse in the Champions League if other clubs keep getting richer and we remain have not. I suppose the problem there is, Warren, that unfortunately the way that the SPFL is set up and marketed at this moment in time doesn't bring in enough TV revenue. If you look at other clubs across Europe, it's TV revenue that makes the difference, doesn't it? You look at the amount of TV money that goes into the English Premier League from BT, from Sky, and other pay-per-view services. You look into La Liga, it's the same. You look into Italy, Italy obviously is as rich as La Liga or as the English Premier League, but they get money in from a lot of the pay-per-view TV services. I think the Scottish League and the SPFL and the Premier League have done a really bad job in terms of negotiating contracts. And look, in terms of club size and marketing and shirt sales and merchandising, Rangers, are huge. We are huge, massive across the whole of Europe and across the whole of the world. Really, you've only got to look at the supporters clubs across the world. And we've talked to people in North America, and I've been having discussions, about podcasts with people from Dubai and Bangkok and all across the world. So we know how huge they are. It is very much down to TV revenue and the product on the field. And I think the Scottish Football League, and this is probably more for a podcast for another day, have kind of been very short-sighted in how they develop the league, how they develop football in Scotland. And for me, you've got to look at the makeup of the SPFL, how it works. You've got to look at, obviously, the league structure and get that in place before we start, obviously, TV deals, and then obviously look at increasing the amount of money into Scottish football. Because, look, Rangers versus Celtic, and Rangers and that lot from across the city are huge pulls. They are great TV. They're great watches. Even if you're not a Rangers or that lot from across the city fan, although why you'd want to be that, who knows? I don't know why you want to support them. Warren also asks, can we expect a marquee signing? I think it very much depends on what you mean by marquee, Warren. I think the days of us bringing in, players in the past like a Laudrup, like a Gaza, they're gone now. Because look, at the end of the day, the players go down south because that's where the money is. You know, the English Premier League clubs spend 20, 25 million the same way we spend 1-2 million. They just, to them, it's no money at all. It's nothing to them. So definitely. Ewan Minton in the live chat says, "Hi Owen, I know we're never going to win the Champions League, but as long as we put up a fight against big teams like we did in the Europa League, the supporters are usually happy and back the team and the manager." I think that's 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Jamie, I mean, did you go to any of the Europa League games at Ibrox, and any top memories from those games?
Yeah, I went to like all the home games. I went to Liverpool away. Well, don't want to get into that score.
I can understand that 100%. No one would want to get that. That'd give you nightmares, Jamie. You'll be up all night. You'll wake up screaming. So don't talk about that. RFC 56 in the live chat, one of our members says we need better wingers than the ones we have and a couple of quality strikers, even with Dessers and Lammers. I think that's right. We do need some wingers. I think that's probably something on Michael Beale's plan. I think we've just got to give him time and trust. Brian Emerson says, Lammers looks decent on clips I've seen, but goals record is awful. I want to know who else is on the transfer list to go, as there should be a right few of them. I think there is, Brian. Like I said, there's obviously Dessers that looks to be coming in close now. Madja is another one, but I think obviously that's been complicated by the whole situation in France with Bordeaux. So, I think that's up there. Warren Smith in the live chat says, richer owners. I think that's something everyone would like. We'd all love a sheikh, wouldn't we, as come in and buy the club? Definitely. RFC 56 says Matondo, Wright, Sakala versus Jota, Abada, and Maeda. We need a wee bit. I'm a wee bit worried. Like I said, RFC 56, I think it's just a case of giving Beale time. He will address these issues, I think, in time. George A says the trouble is no other Scottish teams are interested in going forward. I think that's very much right, George, at this moment in time. RFC 56 says, what's happening with Lundstrom, Owen? We never sell our older players. John Lundstrom. Now, look, I've slaughtered John Lundstrom, as I'm sure many people have seen on this channel, but then again, I've praised him when he and apologised for some of the remarks I've made, given the performances in the last few games of the season. Yeah. Jamie, are you a John Lundstrom fan, or do you think it's time that John Lundstrom moved on?
I've been kind of half and half with him, only because, I know that we're all big fans of him, during the Europa League with me, especially when he scored against goes to the final, that goal, but this season, last season, he didn't look the same player that he was, when he goes to the final. It just didn't look up to it. It just looks a total different player. So, I mean, I would gladly keep him if he was willing to trying to be a better player, but I'm kind of past to saying that to probably time to sell if a good offer comes in for him.
Absolutely. Brian Emerson in the live chat says, I want Nikola Kristovic, proven goal scorer, 5 million, get it done. We were looking at him in January. I mean, that's another possibility. It could still be out there. I don't, obviously Morgan Whittaker is one we've revisited. I know that's out there, but we're competing with a number of English clubs for Morgan Whittaker. But obviously Rangers have so much more to offer: European football, trophy lifting, just a bigger club. 52,000 every other week is up there. So Jim Sloan with the live chat. Thank you very much, Jim, and thank you for your kind comments. Obviously knows English prices for drinks, obviously down here. RFC 56 says, much would it take to sell Lundstrom? I think the issue obviously is RFC 56 backs up. It's the last year of his contract. Now, I don't know whether you saw, Jamie, as I did just recently, there was some comments by Michael Beale that said that sort of over the next week or so, that we'll start to see players his words were traded out to fit in with the trading model. I think now we've kind of sort of bought some in. There'll be some more going out. Do you think that people like Lundstrom and Barisic, who are entering the last years of their contracts, need to be sold in this window, or would you offer them a new deal?
I did see that something about that we were going to listen to offers for players like Barisic, but the way ever since Yilmaz came in during the split, it looks a lot better player since he's been back for injury. So I think if offer does come in, a good offer, then I would always sell. But Lundstrom, I'd probably I can't see him getting much games. So like if so, I think like his chances in the squad will be limited. So like so I'd probably sell if an offer comes in for him.
Absolutely. I mean, I will certainly, who was it? Who was it asked the question there? Was it RFC 56? Yeah. I mean, I'll certainly do some digging on Lundstrom and I'll do some digging on Barisic, see what I can find out. I know there was talk of Barisic getting a new, well, he said there was chances of him getting a new contract. How true that is, I don't know. But I think over the next week and a half, couple of weeks, we'll start to see some players going out of the club. I know that Beale's talks about taking multiple phone calls. I know James Bisgrove has as well. So I think that it is a case we will see players depart over the next week or so. I think obviously Glenn Kamara tops that list. I know Rangers want $5 million for him. He's certainly a player we need to get rid of. Now, one of the other rumours that's doing the rounds at the moment, Jamie, it's not mainstream media. It is on some of the fan sites. It is on some of the transfer rumour sites that are out there. There's multiple sites there. And whenever I investigate a story, guys, I always make sure I go into it, read 2 or 3 websites, try and find a couple of bits of papers, find where it's been backed up, so it's not just one random making something up. But I've seen this a number of times now. Joe Aribo. Obviously, Joe Aribo went back down south, went to play for Southampton. Southampton got relegated. Could you see Joe coming back to the club, and would you welcome him back to the club?
I mean, he was a good player for us, and he's still young. So I would bring him back, because it didn't look like we'd be probably getting back Malik Tillman by the looks of it. So I would bring him back if he wanted to come back. But I suppose it just depends how much Southampton is willing to want for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the issue, I suppose, the issue is that obviously Southampton are now, and I'll get to Brian's comment in a minute. The issue is that Southampton obviously have been relegated to the Championship, and yes, they've had parachute. I mean, unfortunately, in England, they seem to get their cake and eat it. If you get relegated for the Premier League, you get parachute payments, which is you get paid a lump sum of money for getting relegated, which to me seems like rewarding failure, which then obviously gives those clubs an unfair advantage in the Championship. But Championship clubs on the whole are not rich. They're certainly not as rich as their Premier League counterparts. And you've only got to look at the transfer fees that are paid by Championship clubs, the wage structures that are in place at a number of Championship clubs to keep them afloat. Now, it may be that obviously Joe Aribo, I'd imagine will be on fairly big wages at Southampton after, been ex-Premier League. They may want to get him off their books. They may want to reduce their wage bill because, like I said, the Championship doesn't take as much in TV revenue. You don't get the away day following coming to your stadium that you do in the Premier League when you've got the likes of the Man Cities, Manchester Uniteds, Liverpool's, Arsenal's, Chelsea's, Tottenham's that come and bring massive away followings. So it could be that they genuinely want to get him off their budget, and if they do, then maybe there is a cut price deal to happen there. But who knows? I would like to see him come back. I'd welcome him back. I think he would do a job for us for definite. Brian Emerson says in the live chat, get rid of them. Barisic and Lundstrom are passengers most of the time. I know that's a feeling amongst a lot of fans towards those two players. RFC 56 says, don't see Joe happening, and we have plenty of similar players, but no quality wingers. And RFC 56 backs that comment with, I would love if we got money for them, but we never sell our older players. And Warren Smith says, we'll probably end up breaking even in the window once we sell Kamara and the others if we can find buyers for them. I think the problem is nowadays that unless you're an English Premier League club, you don't have a bottomless pit of money. Unless you have unless you are like Paris Saint-Germain, who the French league is not particularly well funded, but when you've got I don't know, is it the Qataris or the Yemenis or whoever it is, whoever it is, the UAE guys that own it, who've just got a bottomless pit of money to throw at it, you're not going to get the players in because you just can't afford. Financially, we don't want to go back to 2012. We don't want to go back to to what happened then. And realistically, like I said, I've said numerous times, the days of us signing the Laudrups, the Gazas, the Butchers, the Trevor Stevens, Gary Stevens of this world going back in time, Mark Walters, I think those days are gone and behind us for the moment. I mean, who knows what the future holds in terms of Atlantic leagues or European Super Leagues, etc., etc. But for the moment, those days are gone. They're behind us, and we have to kind of live within our means. And I know that's not something that football fans want to hear. Look, and I'll be absolutely. I would love us to go out and splash the cash, and buy. I don't know. Buy English Premier League players and bring them up here. Some talented players down there. I'd love them to come down.
Bobby Firmino.
Yeah, Bobby Firmino. Yeah, I mean he's out of contract, isn't he? Bring him be Rangers number 9. I'd love to see someone like that, but it just does not happen. Does not happen anymore. Definitely doesn't. Blue Nose joined the live chat. Says let's get the old gang together and bring Aribo home. RFC 56 adds with Jelavic and Vice. I think. Well, I know Vice is still playing, even though he's 36. But I think Jelavic is retired now, so I can't see him coming back. But a nice thought there, RFC 56. A definite nice thought. Jamie, thinking forward, obviously to next season. What I asked this question to Derek Clark the other night on the podcast about what is a realistic expectation for Rangers? Is it treble or bust next season, or would you be happy with the league and a cup, for example?
Well, we should always go into the season aiming for the treble, wouldn't we? But I'm not getting too confident. But I would, if it wasn't that, then I would be happy with us just the league and a cup. Because I think that's Bale's main priority is to win the league back, so they don't catch up on us.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though they say we've only won one league in our history, because apparently we're only 12 years old, apparently, according to them. Whatever. I mean, I try not to do this on here, but Jamie, they're just not very clever, are they? Across the city, are they? They're just not very. They're not very intelligent, are they?
Oh, not really. No. I don't know. Got it sometimes.
Love this comment from Blue Nose. John says, "Bring Robin van Persie out of retirement. What a goal scorer he is!" I think we saw in the Veterans game how good he still is. Still a quality player. Callum C, I would love this to happen. Get the title, we get the Champions League. I think he means go and get into the Champions League rather than actually win the Champions League. Although I did say to Victoria the other day, I am predicting, guys. This is going to be a bold prediction here, Jamie. Champions League final next season, Manchester City versus Rangers. There we go. There's a bold prediction. And before anybody accuses me of being drunk, I haven't had a drink since last Sunday because of working. So there we go. Blue Nose John says we need 2 or 3 to stop them overtaking us. If we had commentators like the English ones blowing their trumpets about the EPL, we'd be making a lot more in TV money than we do. 100%, Brian. But we do need to, I think, look, and it's part of us being fans as well. I think we do need to push, and say how great the Rangers product is, and get people into watching the club. And there's so many avenues that you can obviously go down to, to watch it. Obviously, Rangers TV, Sky, Viaplay. There's lots of ways you can watch the games. I think we need to encourage people to watch it, because the more people that watch, the more people that go. Obviously, that go to games away from home. I know Ibrox is always full, but the better the product's going to be, the better the selling point's going to be, and I think obviously then the Scottish game can go from strength to strength, and that's only going to be good for obviously the national team as well as obviously for Rangers as well. But 100%. RFC 56 says, title is a must, should be lifting a cup too, I think. 100% RFC. Agreed, Brian, but a more competitive league would help too. And like I said, I think that's more for another day. We'll discuss how we'd make our league more competitive. Well, Jamie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Fancast tonight.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic having you on tonight. Jamie, any final thoughts about next season?
Yeah, it's just that I think, I do expect there's going to be more players in. Hopefully, whoever they are, they can do well for us, and then hopefully we can get the title back next season, and maybe get a cup along with it.
Absolutely. That's got to be the thing. And I think, guys, the biggest thing out for me is the fact that we keep the faith. We keep the faith in Michael Beale. We keep the faith in, obviously, the players he's bringing in. We get behind them, until they show us otherwise. And I think we've got to be optimistic for the season, optimistic for the future. Obviously, they're going to be betting in a new manager, whoever that might be. Obviously, since Ange's done a runner down to Spurs to only probably be sacked at Christmas. But there's every chance, isn't there? We can have a great season as well. Rangers Loyalist in the live chat says, great lads, thank you, Rangers Loyalist. And Callum C says, well in, Jamie, you might even get a spot on the pod. There we go. That's Callum's comment. And take it easy, Bears.
Hopefully, Callum, hopefully.
Okay, guys, it's been a pleasure speaking to you all on the channel. If you can smash the like for me, guys. If you're picking this podcast up at a later date and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please hit that sub button. It will help out the channel. Thank you for watching. We'll be back to speak to you again soon. Also, look out for some shorts coming up as well in the next few days from Victoria in Toronto. As always, guys, remember, we are the people.